Well, welcome back to the Pro Body Lifestyle Podcast, the podcast where we teach you how to live a life worth living. My name is Janusz and this is my lovely wife, Melissa Prochuk. And
Hello,
today
everyone.
we've got a very special episode because over the weekend we've actually just celebrated my great-grandma's 100th birthday.
Yeah, that was a very special day. 100 years old. Like that's the big goal we're all kind of heading towards, right?
Yeah,
We're aiming
it's a
for.
massive milestone. So in today's episode, we wanted to kind of go off the theme of that and talk a little bit more about longevity and just really look at my grandma's life and what are the things that she did well, what are those habits that you guys can implement to live a life worth living so that you're not just living to 100, but you're doing it with joy, you're doing it loving life, you're doing it being able to still spend time with friends and family and move well, most importantly.
Yeah, I think we're quite inspired. We're always inspired around her, but on Sunday when we were celebrating, I had moments where I was looking around at all 5 generations of family that were there, and Babcha was just so present, and I just kept imagining what she's thinking about, like, wow, like just from me, look what's happened, and look at the the generations that have come past, and it's just insane to think about that she's able to be really present with us. She's able to still laugh with us. She's able to still have a meal with us, and I think that's the big goal we all have, is to feel incredible, like not just at 100, but our whole lives, but especially at 100 years old.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like you can just see the joy in her face at the party as she's just sitting there seeing all of her grandchildren, all of her great-grandchildren, which is me, but then all of her great-grandchildren that she has.
Oh, are they great-great-grandchildren?
Yeah, so
wow.
So the nephews and nieces that I have, they're all her great-grandchildren. So we've got a lot of generations
There are a lot
in
of
our family.
greats.
Yeah, there are a lot of greats.
That's amazing. It's incredible, and I think that's why today's episode is going to be a really good listen, we think, because we want to teach you how to live not just to 100, because we're not there yet, but how to live a really good life, and what we've learnt from Babcha, like Janusz's great-grandmother, and how she has got to 100 years old, because it doesn't just happen. Well, yes, sometimes it does, but she's gotten to this age and she's just thriving. I don't see her stopping anytime soon.
No, definitely. And it's one of those things where living to 100 is one thing, but doing it with joy and doing it where you have a good quality of life, where you're not just stuck in a bed, not being able to get out, not going to be able to do things. Like on the Saturday, it was actually my niece's birthday. And what's crazy is that my babcha, 100 years old, still got in the car, drove all the way to her birthday, which was like about an hour drive, and was partying it up at the birthday.
Yeah,
the
that
day
was
before
nice.
her 100th birthday. So she literally had a
party
weekend.
animal, honestly.
Right? 2 parties in one weekend.
It was funny when she got out of the car. She obviously needed a wheelchair. She doesn't need a wheelchair to walk, but they got a wheelchair for her just to have a really cool entry, obviously, into the party. But even she was like, oh, this is so embarrassing, so much fuss. Like, even she thinks, I don't need this.
She's like, I can walk.
That is my goal. Like, I want to get to 100 and have so many generations under me going, wow, look at her. Like, she is just thriving. She's joyful. She's able to still do 100-kilo squats. Like, I don't know, we'll see. But I just think I am already thinking right now about the things that I'm doing currently. How is these habits that I'm doing now are helping me get towards that goal of getting to 100 and living a really good life. But it's not just about getting older. It's, you want to make sure that you're actually able to live at that age and not just exist. Like, you would hate to get to 100 and just be stuck in bed. We want to make sure we're getting to 100 and feeling great.
And I think this topic of longevity can be very confusing because there's a lot of things online. Biohacking is a very, popular topic where people are trying to hack their bodies to figure out how to live longer. And honestly, it can be very overwhelming when you think about all the things you need to do or that you think you need to do. Because my babcha, for example, she doesn't do everything right, but she does the main things right, which then it allows you to have less stress as you're aging because you're not trying to optimize your life doing everything right, but you're just focusing on the big needle movers.
Yeah.
For example, at the birthday on the weekend, I made her a cup of tea, and she has 3 tablespoons, not teaspoons, tablespoons
of sugar
in her teas. And she's done this for a lot of her life. And she's always loved sugar. She's loved eating Magnums is one of her favorite things. Eating KFC is one of her favorite things.
Yep.
And this is where a lot of people think that you need to cut out all of those types of things in your life.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people overcomplicate this entire, not just health journey, but our life. We all overcomplicate it because there's so much information out there now that you can have at the tip of your fingers through social media, ChatGPT, and you think you have to do all these really insane, like you were saying, biohacking kind of things to ensure that you live a really good life. We're all stressing ourselves out. When you look at Babcha, she did the most basic things throughout her entire life, but she was consistent.
Yep.
And I think that's why I'm excited to talk about the literal consistent things she did throughout her entire life that she still does today. That is helping her live an incredible lifestyle. I know when we visit her, not that I'm humbled, but I always kind of go, wait a second. It really makes me stop and think and just go, wait a second. First of all, life is all about just enjoying where you are and enjoying every second and being joyful. But second of all, you really don't need to be so extreme all the time. You really can just do really basic things and get to the age that she's at. And she is doing better than, I'd say, a lot of people that I see walking around these days at a very younger age. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's like healthy aging. A lot of it is not so much about what you do, but it's about what you don't do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because a lot of us, we try and do all of those biohacking methods and you're just not doing the basics right.
Yeah.
So no matter how much you try and refine all of these, quote unquote, advanced methods of trying to help, age healthily, if you're not doing the basics right and you're smoking or you're drinking in excess or if you're obese, for example, all of those things are going to kill you faster than the slight benefit you're going to get through whatever biohacking method you're trying to do.
100%. Stop doing, we were talking about this before, stop doing juice cleanses if you're, vaping on the weekends, because that juice cleanse ain't going to do anything for you.
Yeah, the best cleanse is to just not smoke, not drink, not take drugs, not do the things that are guaranteed to cause harm to your body. Then you don't need to cleanse because your body will already cleanse itself using your liver, your kidneys. You don't need to
100%.
go and do all this extra
Our bodies
stuff.
are very smart. And whenever we're doing those random cleanses or fasting or all those kind of things, our body's like, what are you doing? I know what to do.
Yeah.
Just stop drinking alcohol. You know what I mean?
Well, why don't we go through and just tell everybody what are the things that we've noticed in Babcha's life, and we've talked with her as well, that she does, that she consistently does to be able to live to this age and to be able to do it in a way that she's got joy, that she's still got functionality, and she hasn't got full independence at the moment, but she's quite independent compared to other people that I look at, right? Where she can still stand up, she can still walk, which makes it way easier to care for her because she can hold her own body weight with her legs because she has that strength.
Yeah, I think, I love being around her. And the notes I wrote today is pretty much what I'm always thinking when I'm around her. I'm studying her like she's a case study because I'm like, how does Babcha live this way? I'm already tired and she's the one that's doing so much more than me. I think the first point I wrote down here is movement should be a non-negotiable. And it's not saying that Babcha has been doing the Pro Body Lifestyle workouts on the app for her entire life. She's not even doing any of that. What she's always done though is she's moved. She's moved with intention, and she's always made sure to stay active throughout her entire life. The fact that Babcha can get in and out of bed at 100 years old by herself, she can sit down, stand up, she can give you a hug, give me a hug, and not just like a flimsy hug, I'm talking strength.
Yeah, she squeezes.
Literally, and I'm like, ugh. Even on the weekend, I was sitting with her, holding her hand, and it's not just this frail holding of a hand, she's got a strong grip. And at one point, one of the family members brought her over after your tea with 3 sugars. She asked for a juice of some sort. And when the juice came over, there wasn't enough sugar in it, sorry. There was the sugar that was already in the juice. She goes, ugh, this is disgusting. But at that point, she squeezed my hand and I was like, wow, her grip strength, she would not need lifting straps. She's got some good grip strength at that age.
No, it's crazy. And with the movement, as we're talking about, it doesn't need to be structured strength training. That's not what Babcha did. But she did have daily movement as a part of her life.
Yeah.
And she was gardening almost every single day in her garden. So she was bending over, she was picking things up off the floor.
Yes.
She's been doing her own washing and things for years. So she's always been active, lifting things up over her head, having the strength in her shoulders. And one of the key things, so if you're young now and you're starting to, focus on how can I live a long time, or if you're into your 60s, 70s, 80s, this is where you want to focus not making stretching the priority. Not making like aerobic, like your cardio fitness is important as well. But the most important part of your fitness, if you're talking about living to a long, healthy and having good quality life, is actually strength. Because if you don't have strength, like disability, when you need a wheelchair, when you can't do things, when you're disabled, it's actually just because you've lost the strength to be able to do the thing. So the moment you need a wheelchair, it's because you're weak, you're too weak in your legs that you can't stand up and walk. So strength is actually the thing that it will maintain the longevity in your body. It will keep you feeling like younger because you have the strength to do the things you need to do. And so that's where having the priority with strength with your movements is the most important thing in terms of your exercise to maintain the function of your body and the strength to be able to do the things you need. And then, of course, I'm not saying don't do cardio exercise. That's important as well. But it's not as important as doing strength training. Like Bapcha, she didn't do cardio really. She wasn't running around, going crazy, like doing runs, doing all those types of things. She did a lot of walking. She did a lot of catching the train herself. She never really had a driver's license. So she would always go on the train, walk up the stairs, into her 80s actually, and it was only when she started to catch the wrong train. Yeah,
it's like we've got to cancel
that we were
your
like,
Opal
yeah, you
card.
know what, Bapcha, maybe we will drive you instead of you catching the train.
How funny. No, I wrote down here a key point where it's today's habits determine how we move at 80 years old and further on. And I know for myself, even just at 31 now, I'm not thinking about purely just aesthetics when I'm training. I'm thinking about how I'm feeling, but also thinking about the future. I'm thinking about not just how my body's going to be in pregnancy one day, how I'm going to be as a mum and lifting up our kids and things like that. I'm also thinking I really want to make sure I'm a really strong grandma or great grandma in the future, but that doesn't just happen when I'm 80 and go, oh, I want to be strong now. Let's start making those choices. It starts now. And now if you're around, your 40s, 50s, 60s thinking, oh, it's too late. No, we have some clients that start in their 50s and 60s that have built incredible strength. Of course, it's a little bit harder. So whatever age you're at right now, the best time to start strength training is right now, because it's going to set you up for success in the future. And like I said before, it's not just about aesthetics. It's about how you're feeling and like how you're setting yourself up for whatever goals you have for the future.
Yeah. I think that looking good is just a side benefit of exercise.
Massive bonus on top. It's like a cherry on top. It's not the cake anymore.
Like really the reason that we train now, and you find this a lot with like a lot of the ladies you train who are going through pregnancy.
Yeah.
It's no longer about looking good. Because strength training, that's just surface level. It makes you look good. But the main benefit of strength training is function. It's feeling good. It's helping you be strong to be able to do your life easily. Like when you're weak, life is hard. Like stairs become hard, opening jars become hard, lifting your hands up to put luggage.
You don't realize those simple things of like opening up jars is, we take it for granted. But as we age, we are going to struggle to do simple things like that unless we are consistently strength training or using some sort of movement in our everyday life. And like you said before, how Bapcha would garden and like hang clothes out, it's pretty much replicating like the movements that we do in the gym. Think about deadlifts, bending down, picking up heavy loads. It's pretty much, like you're gardening, like you're picking up your kids. I'm always telling my clients, every movement is a movement that you're doing in your everyday life. I know when I pick up my grocery bags, I'm not just picking them up. I'm like shoulders back, get the grip strength, lift them up with a nice strong back as well. Like I'm always thinking this movement that I've done in the gym is everything that I'm doing in my everyday life as well. And I was telling Janusz this only this morning about a client that I was speaking to yesterday, and she's recently just become a mum, which is incredible. First time mum, she's always been fit and active, and in her check-in this week on her form, I might actually just read it out, a little small snippet of what she wrote, because I think it really ties in with today's episode. She was saying, why am I going to the gym when I don't enjoy it? Why do I care what I eat when it doesn't matter as much as I think? Basically questioning what it's all for. Because of that, I've had 3 days of binge eating. I know it's a season of raising my baby, but I feel I have no outlet for hobbies that come out of passion as opposed to health outcomes. So when she came in for a check-in session yesterday, I had a good discussion with her, and I thought it was so beneficial to actually speak with her about this, because it's not about aesthetics. Her main reason for training right now, the why and the reasoning behind it has to change to, this training session is helping me not just be a strong mum, but also to think about future pregnancies if I want my baby to have a sibling. It's how am I going to recover from pregnancy because she's still recovering. It's how am I going to be as a grandma in the future. And training is also a great outlet for mothers or anyone to have a moment to themselves for that day where they feel strong, they feel independent, and then they can go back into their everyday life. And I was really changing her mindset around that. And what was really great is her daughter actually came yesterday with her husband to watch the session, which I thought was perfect. Like, it just worked out perfectly. I'm like, look, your daughter smiling at you. You are also showing her proving to her that, you know, being strong is a good thing to do. Like, you know, being a role model to your children as well is really important. So I thought that tied in really well with today's episode because movement just isn't about aesthetics. When you get to the point where it's about functionality and like how you're moving and what your next 60, 70, 80 years are going to look like, it starts today with the habits that you're doing now.
And this is where like strength training is and should be the foundation. Anybody who wants to live a good life and a long life, you need to do resistance training, like lifting weights, okay? Other forms of exercise are important, but the most important type of exercise for longevity is strength training. And I've written down a few benefits here. I just quickly went on Google, and these are the benefits of strength training beyond looking good. Everyone knows that. So there's musculoskeletal strength benefits. So increasing your muscle mass, obviously. So as you get older, you start to reduce muscle mass unless your strength training, then you can actually build muscle mass into your old age. Bone density. You start to reduce bone density as you get older unless you do strength training, then it starts to build up and harden the bones around your body. And that's where resistance training allows you to target different parts of the body with the different weights you use.
And I would say Babcha has only recently, I'd say probably in the last few years, just started to get a little bit sore, right? In her legs and things like that.
Like she's had the pains for a while.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that what she's able to do with the pains.
Yeah.
Right? Because some of these things you can't prevent as you start aging, but what you can control is how strong you'll be and how functional you'll be with whatever levels of pain you might have as you are older.
Agreed.
Right? So all of those strength benefits, like the reducing the risk of falls. So I had a client that I used to train when I was doing exercise physiology with Parkinson's, very shaky on his legs. And it was mainly because he wasn't strong. We just focused on doing leg press, focused on doing squats. So just very basic movements. And when he improved in his strength, his balance dramatically increased because it's very hard to balance if you're weak. So sometimes people think, oh, I got to do balance training because I can barely balance. Like I just keep falling over.
No, you need strong muscles to be able to balance.
Strong muscles is like the prerequisite to actually balancing well.
Exactly.
Then the other thing about strength training is that you also get a little bit of mobility just from doing the strength training. So if you're using full ranges of motion, then you are developing mobility just through your strength sessions. And same thing with cardiovascular benefits. Even in your strength sessions, you still get somewhat of a cardiovascular benefit.
My clients will know that. I do a lot of supersets for my clients. They're like, Mel, we're so wiped out, not just like physically with our muscles, but also our heart rate's through the roof. I'm like, yeah, I did that on purpose for you.
Yeah. And so for that reason, I always, when I'm looking at any of my clients' routines, whether they're 80, 90, even 100 years old, I've never trained someone over 100, but I guess my babcha, I might go to her house and start doing that. But the foundation is always strength. So the minimum you need to do is 2, and I would say what would be better is 3 days a week of strength training every other day. So you have a rest day between at the very minimum, where you're just doing basic exercises of the body. So some exercises where you're pushing, so you're strengthening your pushing muscles. Some where you're pulling, so you're strengthening your grip strength and your back muscles. And then some exercises where you're squatting, so you're strengthening your legs. Very important to be able to get in and out of the car, to be able to walk, to hold your body weight. And then some exercises where you're doing something like a deadlift, where you're picking things off the floor. So if you're doing those basic movement patterns 3 times a week, number 1, bone density is going to be strengthened. 2, you're going to build muscle mass. 3, most important muscles to have when you're getting older is your legs.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't got that strength in your legs, and that's where you don't want to just have enough strength in your legs. Like some of you might be like, yeah, but I can walk and I can stand and I can squat easily. It's like, yeah, great. But if you can squat way heavier than you need to right now, like, you know, if you can have 100 kilos extra weight or 50 kilos extra weight when you're doing squats and deadlifts and things, then you've got way more strength to lose before you become disabled.
Yes.
But if you can only just do, 10 kilo goblet squats and your legs are struggling with that, then that's scary because you're not far off not being able to squat with just body weight.
Yeah. No, I agree. And if you're listening to this right now or watching this and you've gotten up and gone, oh, maybe I should just see and test how much I can squat right now. Don't be afraid if body weight is, really challenging for you right now. What I tell every new client that comes in and sees us and we just start with body weight exercises, when they struggle, I go, remember this feeling right now. Because if you don't quit and you keep progressing every week from today, you will look back on this day and go, wow, remember when I struggled to do a body weight squat? And it's really incredible how much our bodies can develop by what we add onto it and how much we add resistance training. And I think it's so beneficial. I can't get over how beneficial it is just for longevity. It's insane. And I know I really am enjoying now seeing a lot of clients as they age, when we get their inquiry forms coming in, seeing that their reasoning behind wanting to train has nothing to do with like a six-pack abs or their glutes growing. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But a lot of reasoning behind why they want to train is, I want to be able to be fit enough to run around with my grandkids one day. Some of them don't even have grandkids yet, but they're thinking about it. That makes me happy, and that's the level that I want everyone to get to. Beyond aesthetics, we want to flip that script to be like, no, the main reason is to feel good and to feel strong. The bonus and cherry on top of that is looking good as well.
Yeah. Now, I think the next thing we should talk about is nutrition. So by far, movement, we've got to emphasize that a lot, is the main thing that will keep you young. It's the main thing that will keep you functional. It's the main thing that will keep your independence as you get older. So make sure you're doing that. If you're not doing that and you're trying every other form of biohacking, you're missing the mark. You're missing the main thing.
Agreed.
But the next thing after that is nutrition. Like I was saying before, Bapcha didn't have it perfect. And this is where some people, they're trying to focus on the wrong things. Bapcha still ate a lot of sugar. She still had KFC often. She still wasn't eating, quote unquote, the best diet.
Yeah. I think the main thing that comes to us when clients start is they either go, okay, well, Mel, I'm ready to quit sugar, carbs, and I might quit gluten as well. First of all, are you gluten intolerant? If you're not, please have the gluten. Like, it's things like that where it's like, you can still have sugar, you can still have gluten and dairy, you can still have all those things. It's about learning the proper nutrition for you, and it's about having that balance as well. Bapcha, yes, she eats a beautifully nutritious diet throughout most of her life, but she also has sugar and a few sweets on the side as well. And that's why she's been able to live to 100. She doesn't have this massive binge eating kind of habit because she's never had to do that.
And it's also the generation she was in, right?
Yes.
So the biggest thing that she's done right? There's a lot of things that she hasn't done right, but she was still doing the main things right, which is what's important. So in terms of nutrition, the main thing she's done right is that she maintained a lower BMI throughout her life. Yep. Now, BMI, this is where a lot of people give it a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, but I can look amazing and my BMI is telling me that I'm obese, but I look awesome or I've got really good muscles. So you know what? Because of that, BMI is irrelevant. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And it's because people are missing what BMI is used for. BMI is not telling you what you look like. Like a high BMI is telling you what your death risk is. So it's actually telling you that if you have a high BMI or it's not in the healthy range, you have a higher likelihood of dying from all-cause mortality, which means you're higher likelihood to die from anything.
Yep.
So having a healthy BMI, it's to be healthy. It's not to tell you what you look like. BMI is not telling you what you look like.
Also, another thing to remember, I know maybe a lot of females have had this mentality before. I used to be very the underweight category for BMIs. And I remember in my early 20s being like, yes, I've made it. Like that is I'm not even going to lie. I feel like we've all kind of secretly hoped for that, where nothing makes me happier now than being in that mid-range, knowing that my body fat percentage, my muscle mass is exactly where it needs to be a healthy individual, to build muscle, to have enough energy for my everyday life, but to also one day hopefully create life. Yeah, it's really important.
And so when we're looking at Bapcha, the things that she was doing to maintain that healthy BMI, even into her older age, even while still eating KFC, sugar, like having KFC. 3 tablespoons of sugar in her teas, like the things she was doing right is that she had balance and she was eating the right number of calories, right? Because if you eat too many calories, then you end up gaining body fat. And even if you're eating healthy foods, the excess body weight, the body fat, being a high BMI has more death risk to you than being the right BMI with unhealthy foods. So what Bapcha was doing right is she was following what we call the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the foods that she was eating were good, healthy, whole foods, nutritious foods, right? So I like to always say to people that, how do you know what whole foods are? Well, if your food walks on the ground like an animal, then you eat that. That's a whole food.
It's usually
or
the
if it
foods
grows on the ground.
Yeah, it's usually the foods in Coles and Woolies that aren't in aisles.
Yeah, exactly. If it's not in a package. But then see, this is where people are like, but steak comes in a package. And I'm like, no. So this is like, if it's a whole food, if it's healthy, you know what healthy is.
Look at the ingredients. If there's one ingredient on the package, that's good.
Yeah. So 80% of the time, if you're eating good, healthy whole foods, and 20% of the time you're having your KFC, you're having your sugar in your teas, you're having whatever you want, whatever your vice is. For her, she loved Magnums as well. Pretty much had a Magnum a day, especially whenever I'd visit her, she's always getting them out.
Yeah.
She's eating the right number of calories, and that's what matters. And that's why she's not gaining body fat. And that's why she's able to stay healthy.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. I've spoken to a lot of new clients this week where on their initial calls, they're like, well, I'm ready to give up coffee, alcohol, and all the sugar. And I'm like, no, we don't really need to do that, because we need to find a new normal for you with the 80-20 rule, where really you can have all those fun things in moderation. And it's instead of getting rid of something completely and pretending like it doesn't exist and then binging it later on when you go back to your normal diet, let's find your new normal. That new normal should really be those 80% nutritious food, where we kind of try to, in our 3 main meals, I know I have 3 main meals a day, sometimes you do too, is nutritious foods that are going to fill us, fuel us, and make sure that we're hitting those right nutrients, those right minerals and vitamins that we need to repair muscle, to feel good. But then 20% of that, I always call it my mental health food. It's that fun food that is going to help me not binge because I'm always having it within my diet. Like I have one client that has lost over 20 kilos because she has a Freddo every single night on her bedside table while she reads her book. And I'm not talking the mini Freddos, I'm talking the big chunky ones that you used to get in those fundraiser boxes. Oh, the best. I love that because she always knows that she's going to have that chocolate when she goes to bed, but the rest of her diet that day is good, nutritious food. And she never feels like she has to binge or go off track because she always has it within her diet. So it's about learning that balance. And I feel like Babcha has that like down so well because she still has KFC, like you said. She still has 3 sugars. If I was 100, I'd be having way more than that. But 3 sugars in her coffees or her teas, whatever it is. But then she also has really good, nutritious food.
Yeah. But the main principle for maintaining a good body weight is the amount of calories you're eating, not what the calories are.
Yeah.
And so what Babcha does really well is she eats the right amount of calories.
Yeah.
Even though they may not be the best thing. So we always say that your calories are going to dictate. So basically how much food, how many calories you're eating will dictate whether you gain or lose body fat.
Yeah.
Body fat. But the type of calories. So if you have a more nutritious diet, if you're eating more protein, more fruits and vegetables,
determine how you feel.
The type of calories, your macros, will determine how you feel.
Exactly.
And so what Babcha does really well is that she stops when she's 80% full.
Yeah, not getting to that point where you're completely full because that's too late.
Yeah. So really like when you get the feeling and the sensation of fullness, it's already too late. Because that sensation of fullness that you're actually feeling is when your stomach, the mechanoreceptors, is a fancy word for the stomach, when it feels them stretching, then you're feeling those stretch response signal that you're full. So by then, you're not actually full, you're stretching. So you're actually at 110, 120, 130% capacity of your stomach. And that's why you're feeling full. So if you can develop the habit like what Babcha does, where she doesn't overeat to the point where she's like, oh, like this, sitting back.
Yeah.
She's come from a generation in the war.
Where there's not much food.
Yeah, there was scarcity. So she would, have all the food on the table. We would be eating KFC. We'd be eating, junk food. And you might be like, how are you maintaining good body weight eating this type of food? Magnums all the time, sugar in your teas all the time. And it's because she's eating the right number of calories and she's stopping before she's full to let others eat.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I love that. I know I come from a family of 5 kids. So we had to make sure that our mum would only put on a certain amount of portions onto each of our plates. Like feeding 7 people every night, that's a lot of food. So I've really learned to have a very well-balanced diet because there wasn't enough food to overeat because that's 7 plates you got to put on there. So I think with Babcha, she's never really overate because food was just such a luxury to have going through the war, like how she was raised. I'm not sure how she was raised, but I can imagine what it was like. So yeah, that's really important.
Yeah. And the other thing is with nutrition is she doesn't drink, and she doesn't smoke. Okay. So
Not
actually,
even earlier on in life?
no.
I'm not sure. I've only known her for 6 years.
Well, at least from when I was speaking to her and when I'm speaking
We
to
don't want to
Mum.
know those stories. Yeah.
No, she didn't really smoke,
That's
especially
good.
in the last like 20, 30, 40 years. I've never seen her smoke.
Incredible, especially with
And-
that generation.
Yeah, and drinking. She has the odd drink every now and then. For her 100th, she actually did have a little bit of champagne.
Oh, not just a little. Like she sculled that. I was like, go Bubcha. If this is how you're going out, well done.
But again, it's okay as long as it's not in excess,
Yeah, exactly right.
right? And so that's the main thing, is that alcohol and smoking are never good for your body. It's actually just not good. And even small amounts, like I still drink, but even small amounts of alcohol are still bad for your body. They still inhibit your muscle repair, your
Well, it
muscle
doesn't
growth.
add anything.
Like, it doesn't add anything. It
Does nothing
inhibits your
for you.
sleep. Like it just makes all the areas of your body run worse whenever you drink alcohol.
Yeah, I always tell people like I wasn't raised with alcohol, and I've maybe had a few moments of like drinking alcohol throughout my 20s, but it doesn't excite me at all. The taste is disgusting to me. And then I'm always thinking, I think because I've grown up in like an athlete's mindset because I did so much sport, I was always thinking, why would I do that? Because tomorrow I'm going to wake up and not be ready to play netball or to run. That's not good for me. So I like that mindset where it just, there's actually no benefits to it at all. Instead of like, it gives you a bit of confidence, but come on guys, we can feel confident without alcohol.
Yeah. So if you are going to drink alcohol, then the recommendation would be to have less than 1 or 2 per day.
Melissa's recommendation is
And I wouldn't have it per
none.
day. I would have it literally just one, like on occasion. So maybe once a week, maybe twice a week at the maximum.
Yeah.
But reducing your alcohol consumption, it is toxic to the body. Same with smoking. Like there is no good amount of it you can have. So it's really about reducing it to the maximum you can. So that's another thing that Butch has done to make it to 100.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think another, unless you have a more nutrition chat to talk about, but another key thing that I was thinking about when I was reflecting on Bubcha, the reason that she has incredibly got to 100 years old and will continue to age, I'm sure, is the joy that she has.
Yeah.
And that her nervous system is so regulated and calm. And I'm so truly inspired by her because I'm thinking, I'm 31. Why am I stressed when she looks just so chill? Of course, at that age, you're like, it's fun to be joyful because you're just waking up, really. But I think she's just, from the stories that I've heard about Bubcha, she's always had joy. She's always found joy in the little things as well. It's not that she's had an easy life. When she tells me stories about her coming at wasn't it 17 or something?
Yeah, very young.
From Poland through the war over to Australia, didn't know many people at all. Like all of her friends have also passed away in the last few years as well. Like she has had a very hard life, but so joyful. And I think that's the key element, plus strength training, plus nutrition, is feeling joy and just feeling like you're enjoying your life.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that she's done a lot is when she had friends that were alive, she would often go to the nursing homes to see them and to spend time with them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just about receiving from the friendships, but she would go to inspire them, to encourage them when they're in those nursing homes, when they're unwell. So just bringing joy to every room that you're in. Like one of the things that she used to always respond, now it's changed a little bit because she is feeling a little bit more aches and pains, but what got her there is every single day up to being like 95. If you asked her, Bubcha, how have you been? She will say, terrific, with a big smile.
I love that. Yeah,
every time,
so
no matter
beautiful.
what's going on.
And so enthusiastic as well, like terrific. And it's like, oh, poor thing. Like she's so excited just to get out of bed. I think that's so beautiful. I wrote a note here about chronic stress and how chronic stress ages us faster than anything. And saying that, like you might be hearing that right now going, oh, well, Mel, you have no idea about my life. I have so much stress in my life. I totally understand that. But this is where we need to take responsibility and go, if it's a certain stress in our life that we actually have no control over, we need to go, okay, I'm either going to allow this stress to completely take over my life and continue down this road where I'm just going to continue to age in a bad way, or I can start to live with that stress, but also find some joy out of it as well. What little things every day in your life can you find the joy in? Like it can be the smallest thing. Like I know Bubcha gets excited about more sugar in her tea. Awesome. I know my uncle, when he was alive, he would get so excited about like a really good tea or like an arrowroot biscuit or my mum would bring into the nursing home like KFC chicken as well and get so excited about that. Or just seeing a family member and catching up with them used to bring him so much joy. And I'm sure Bubcha, whenever we walk in, she's like, like she gets so excited. I'm like, I need to come here more often because I love that kind of greeting. So it's just about, yes, try to reduce your stress as much as possible. Like Bub just lived through war. Like the stress that we all feel today, let's really relate it with a good perspective of like, we're not really living through a war right now, are we? No. What are we stressed about? Getting our work done on time. I'm sure Bubcha back in the day would rather have that stress than, am I going to survive tomorrow? Like that's so different to what we stress about these days, isn't it?
And just choosing faith over fear.
100%.
Like she chooses to be faithful every day and look to a good future rather than fear and being scared of death. Like she's not scared of death.
No.
She's welcoming it.
She's like,
wanting it now.
please, why am I waking up still?
Yeah. But just having faith in your life over fear, right, is such a
agree.
big thing. So then that way you're just living out of hope for the future rather than being scared and worried about all the things, but just being like, yeah, you know what? Things will work themselves out.
Yeah, I've seen this thing before where I'm going to butcher what I'm about to say, but it's something in terms of when you're worrying, it's pretty much saying that you don't trust what God's plan is for you. Like you're saying to God, hey, I don't know if you know what you're doing up there. Because obviously we believe in God. And it's so interesting to think about that when you flip the script to go, oh God, I'm not sure what you're doing right now, but I welcome anything that you are. I have faith that you know what's best for me because he does.
Yeah.
And Pubcha definitely has that faith to go, I know where I'm going. And he's guided me my entire life, so why wouldn't I have faith now?
I love that. Your anxieties and your fears show you where you trust God the least.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's really good. Oh, that was really good. I'm going to have to think about that today.
On that though, with having faith, with being able to have lower stress levels, a big part of that comes from knowing that you're doing the main things right. Mm-hmm. So again, if you're trying to optimize every area of your health, then yeah, it's stressful and it's probably going to cut years from your life from being stressed about it, right? Whereas when you know that you're eating the right quantities of food, when you know that, okay, you know what, calories is what counts mainly, then you can reduce the anxiety because you know that, okay, well, it's actually okay for me to have the sugar here or there. It's okay for me to have Magnums. It's okay for me to have KFC because I'm doing the main things right by eating the right number of calories as a whole.
Yeah, sometimes I tell new clients about, there's this guy in America that lost, 30, 40 kilos by just being on a potato diet because potatoes are so dense and filling, right? Now, he probably wasn't the healthiest, but he was within his calories and he lost weight by just eating potatoes because they filled him up. I'm not saying go do that, but...
Well, have you heard about the Twinkie diet one?
Oh, I'd rather that than potatoes.
Yeah, so exact same thing, right? Where it's another study where a guy was trying to prove that it is just about calories. Yeah. And so again, we're not recommending this. This isn't healthy.
Yeah, clients, don't do it.
Yeah. But Twinkies is a type of cake.
Cake in America, yeah.
He basically just followed a cake diet to prove that if you just eat the right number of calories of any food, even if all you're eating is 100% cake, then he ended up losing weight throughout that study.
But remember what Janusz said, calories determine how you look, but macros, good nutritious food, determine how you feel. So eating Twinkies and potatoes only and M&Ms it's going to help you lose weight, but you're not going to feel good. What we try to teach our clients is, hey, we want you to lose weight, but we want you to feel good doing it as well. So you have enough energy to get into the gym, train hard, but you also are losing weight at a good progressive way, scale that isn't too aggressive too quickly, but enough to feel like you're quite balanced and don't feel like you're too restrictive.
Yeah. And then just remembering too that for longevity, for health, being overweight is one of the worst things you can have.
Yeah.
For your cardio, like just for everything. For every area of your health is worse when you have body fat.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there, but a thought just came to my mind where I have this new client who's only worked with me for 2 months. She has PCOS and she's already getting her cycle back to a normal 28-day cycle for her period. And I think, things like that make me so excited because she's already lost like 6 kilos. And she's like, Mel, I haven't had a regular cycle in so long. And I'm like, this beats 6-pack, this beats big glutes, this beats everything, because being healthy and strong is so much better than the aesthetics. Yeah.
And this is where too, like the guy who did that Twinkie diet, his blood work and everything actually improved.
There you go.
Right? Because when you lose weight, like when you lose 10% of your body weight, so if you weigh 100 kilos, if you lose 10%, so if you lose 10 kilos, all of your blood work and your blood markers actually improve dramatically regardless of how you lost that weight. Now, obviously, the more healthy food, whole foods, that's going to make you feel better and it's that's always going to be better. But the takeaway from this is the 80-20 rule. where if 80% of the time you're eating good, nutritious foods, then that's going to help you feel good. And then 20% of the time you can eat whatever you want, Twinkies, KFC, sugar, anything like that. And as long as you're eating the right calories, you will lose weight. And losing the weight is what's going to improve your health the most. And then once you've got the right body weight, it's much easier to maintain it for longevity.
Yeah, I feel like we're in a season where we're always maintaining now, where we can have a few extra fun things, and it depends on the season you're in. Like some clients will look at us and we're having way more fun things than most people. But I'm like, hey, I'm not in a season where I'm trying to lose weight by a certain date right now. If you're in that season, you can still have that 80-20 rule, but you have to be that little bit more strict with things. Where I'd say sometimes we're even like 60-40, 70-30, yeah. But 80-20 is really good when you're trying to be in a season of gaining, losing weight, whatever your goal is. So it's just about knowing what season you're in as well.
Yeah, and then just hitting the right calories. So it's no matter what food you eat, just hit the right calories.
As simple as that. Like, don't overcomplicate it. Don't be thinking, oh, should I do the keto diet, carnivore, whatever it is. Find what works for you, but really what it comes down to is a calorie deficit. You don't have to give up coffee. If I gave up coffee, oh my goodness, I would not be happy. And Janusz would really pay for it as well. So I like to have coffee, but every other area of my life is really balanced. So it's just about finding what's going to work for you. And that's why working with a coach to begin with is really good, because we teach you those things. It can be quite scary to be like, oh, what do you mean I can have a chocolate bar over the protein bar? Sometimes having the chocolate bar over the protein bar is actually so much more beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Well, I think let's summarize the main points so then people can take a takeaway from this episode of what is the simple cheat sheet that I need to follow to be able to live well into my old age, not just, live there, but you're frail and just falling apart.
Yeah. I know you've got a really good list there, but consistency over perfection.
Yeah.
Like Babcha has done not maybe the best training routine and things like that over her life, but she's been so consistent every day with, first of all, eating a nutritious diet that still has sugar in it. She's moved her body in some capacity most days. She's kept her mind active, which I think is very, very important. Like she would call her friends in Poland. She interacts with all of us, doing puzzles, things like that.
Yeah, seeing her friends in the nursing homes.
Yeah, having those discussions. Like I know when I visit her, I'm always asking her, oh, tell me about baby Janusz, because it's good for her to think about like, oh, can I still remember those memories? And it's good for me to hear because I want to hear about baby Janusz, but those memories that she still remembers, which is really good. She sleeps well. Like that's a really good thing too. So if you're not sleeping well, like these are basic things that people get wrong. They're like, I don't need sleep, but I do everything else well. No, you do the basics well. She walks, she reduces her stress, and she finds joy in everyday life.
Yeah. I think, again, the main thing is that Babcha does the main things right. Mm-hmm. So she's not the most optimal with every area of her health, but you don't need to be, and you don't need to be.
Yeah.
Like you just need to do the main things right. And I think that's where people go wrong, is they try and do these fancy things to get fit, to maintain fitness and all of this. But if you just did the main things right, then you would have a great life and you would get most of the results. Like if you do the main things, you get 80 to 90% of your results. And then the fancy stuff just gets you that last little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Stop following what everyone else is doing on social media and thinking, wow, like they're doing high rocks and everything. That's great. Amazing if you really want to do that. But what is your end goal? If your goal is just to feel strong, to feel healthy, and to maintain that for the rest of your life, you don't need to be doing things that completely wreck your body all the time, unless you want to.
Well, I'm going to read through the takeaways that they can take away. So you've got a really condensed takeaway list that you can use to implement into your life, and maybe look at them and just think, if you're not doing one of these things, that might be an area for you to address in your lifestyle if you want to live to a long life and make it a good life.
Yeah.
So first thing I've written was do the main things right. What are the main things? Well, here they are. First thing you need to do is move daily. Prioritizing strength training first, a minimum of 2 to 3 days a week where you're focusing on lifting weights. Now, it can be very simple. Just start with 5 reps of something and then build up to 15 reps. And once you can do 15 reps with whatever the weight is, increase the weight and go back to 5, build back up to 15. Very simple. Once you've got strength training as a regular routine in your like as we talked about, strength training is the core, the foundation. If you have extra time, then incorporate more movement, some cardio or some mobility. But nobody is living a long time because they're very flexible. It's because they maintain strength. So don't sacrifice your strength sessions for mobility training or for extra core training. All those things are good. I'm not saying they're not good.
They're good add-ons though.
Exactly. So foundation of your routine needs to be at least 2 days a week of strength training to remain functional, bone density, all of that. Then on top of that, add your cardio at least 2 to 3 days a week. Then on top of that, if you want to, you can add some mobility training.
Yeah, I think it's more beneficial that Bubcha can get out of bed and in bed and get out of a chair than touching your toes.
Exactly. So that's the first thing, is make sure you're moving daily in some capacity.
Agreed. And
we do that very well, where even if we can't get in the gym and do a massive gym workout, we'll at least go for a walk, or we'll at least go for a run, or just do some basic movements. Next thing, maintain a healthy BMI, okay? So reduce your body fat levels. Remember, body fat, it's never good for the body. It's always inhibiting your metabolic health. It's always, messing with your insulin sensitivity. And if you're not using your muscles is actually the thing that improves your insulin sensitivity, your glucose uptake. Like, the muscle is what actually uses the glucose. Mm-hmm. And so the reason that your muscle doesn't want to take up the glucose from your bloodstream is because it's full. If you never flex your muscles, if you never use your muscles, that's what's creating your insulin resistance. So by strength training, you actually improve your insulin sensitivity so that your body can then start to empty the muscles of the glucose that are stored in the muscles and then uptake the glucose from the bloodstream. So that's, again, why strength training is so important. But in terms of maintaining a healthy BMI, eating the right calories and just stopping when you're 80% full, and just remembering that it's okay to have that 80-20 rule that we were talking about, where you're focusing majority of the time on good, healthy foods, but not being so stressed that you're being so strict that you're not allowing yourself to have a Magnum here or there, or some chocolate, or a meal out with your friends eating KFC or something like that.
Yeah. If you're constantly thinking about food, like I know I've had this relationship with food in my early 20s where it's just the only thing I think about because I'm so scared to go off track and things like that. If you just stick to something like this where it's 80% really good food, and it doesn't have to be exact percentages, don't stress about that. Yeah. But the goal that I just always set for myself is, if I'm not tracking my food to the exact gram, I go, okay, my 3 main meals have to be nutritious, whole foods. My fun snacks around that can be fun, but I always pair my fun things with something healthy as well. Like you'll see in my Instagram stories, I'll have an apple and then I'll have the Freddo. So I'm always pairing things together to make sure I'm always focusing on the health goals, but I'm also focusing on the fun side as well, so I don't end up binging after a while as well.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, guys. You don't have to overcomplicate things. If you feel like you're constantly thinking about it, then it's time to completely change what your diet looks like.
Yeah. So prioritize strength training, lose body fat. Next one is to limit alcohol and smoking and drugs, if you do drugs. Regular health checks. So really at least important. Once a year, go to your doctor, get your bloods taken, just do your checkups.
What I've realized with doing regular health checkups, especially blood tests, is how quickly you can change your bloods and your health by just changing your diet. For the first time in COVID, I think my cholesterol went up a little bit, probably from all the chocolate and food I was eating. But it was insane that I think it was within 2 to 3 months after that, by just changing my diet slightly and going back to my normal 80-20 rule, everything was back down to normal. So that's why I personally like to do checkups at least every 6 months. And if you're a female, like get checked up on all different things. Like make sure you've got a good doctor that is encouraging you to look up these things, look into your hormones, all those different things, and just make sure that you're on the right track.
Yeah. Huge one is the next one is having regular sleep and stress.
I'm good at this one.
I'm not very good at this one, but aiming for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And the key is quality sleep. It's not so much about the duration.
The REM.
But if you're having alcohol and things like that, yes, it might help you go to sleep. You might be like, oh, but when I drink alcohol, I can sleep better. It's not about sleeping better. It's about what's the quality of that sleep. Because when you drink alcohol, it inhibits the quality of the sleep. So you might have a good sleep duration, but because of the alcohol in your system, you're not having good quality sleep. It's interrupting the recovery part of sleeping.
Yeah, I was recently speaking to my doctor about my bedtime routine and my nervous system. And he was like, what do you do before bed? I'm like, oh, I'm awesome. I do this, I get my clothes ready, and then I go to bed and I either scroll or I read my book. And he goes, what book? And I'm like, oh, it's like either a personal development book. And he's like, you are constantly on. He's like, I want you to read something that's fiction, so you fall asleep with not looking at, your screen, the light on your screen on your phone, and just read a book and fall asleep so you completely go into a deep sleep without comparing to anyone else, without switching your brain on, without what's the word? I've lost the word.
Being wired all the time.
Yeah, being so wired. And I was like, oh, that explains a lot. So Harry Potter has been really great for me. I already sleep well. If there was an Olympics for sleep, I'd be gold. I would be winning gold every day. But I think having a good quality sleep, just like how we were saying before, it's not about living to 100, it's about living well to 100. Sleep is really important. It's not about getting 8 hours of sleep. How deep and well recovered are you in that sleep as well?
Yeah, no, I love that. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like if you focus on those key habits, you will live a long and just a good quality of life.
Yes.
That's the main thing. And if you want to do more things on top of that, you can, but you can't not do the basics. Remember, masters always do the basics. They just build on the foundations. Where a lot of people, they start to see all these fancy things out there. Same with optimizing strength training, optimizing any of those things. They start doing all of these advanced, quote unquote things, but then they stop doing the basics and it's like, no, you're missing the whole point. You need to make sure that you're doing strength training. You need to make sure that you're the right body weight. You need to make sure that you're sleeping 7 to 8 or 9 hours. You need to make sure that you're not smoking or drinking alcohol. You need to make sure you're doing those foundations first, because those are the things that are going to create longevity into your life. And then everything else on top of that is great, but only if you're doing those things.
Only if you're doing the foundations well. It's like building a pyramid. Stop focusing on the top little part you put on the pyramid. Focus on the bottom first and then build your way up. Our best clients do the basics. They do them consistently. They're not doing anything that's special, that's different to all of our other clients, but they just follow through on the plan consistently. And that's what we do. We're not doing anything different. We're doing the exact same programs. We're eating the exact same way our clients do, but we're just very good at following through and being consistent. Like we don't overcomplicate life. I used to overcomplicate this entire journey, but I think over the years, it's like basics always win. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be consistent.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of our clients, like they start to realize that when they coach with us, they're like, oh, because they start to realize what's the stuff that they're overwhelming themselves about: fitness, health, lifestyle, nutrition. Like there's a lot of stuff you can go into.
Yeah.
But then they start to lose what really matters. And so when they start coaching with us, they're like, oh, this is like really giving me clarity about nutrition and just healthy lifestyle habits, because they start to learn what are the things that you need to put first. And what are the things where if you have time, you can optimize them. But if you don't have time, just do the basics first. And that's what matters.
Yeah. And ask yourself, the habits that you're doing today, are they helping or hurting you getting towards a healthy 80, 90, 100-year-old person? Like I'm already asking myself that. If I continue doing the habits I'm doing right now, am I setting myself up in the best way to live a very good life? I'd say yes. But if right now that answer is no for you, guess what? It's not the end. You can change it right now by going, okay, let's focus on the basics of what we talked about today. Let's make that change, because the only person that can change that is you. And until you decide to make that change, it won't happen.
Yeah. Now, if any of you guys need any help with this, you can go to probodylifestyle.com/apply, and then you can work with either Mel or myself, and we will lay out the plan for you. We will talk with you about your lifestyle and do a consultation with you to figure out, okay, what are your goals? What are you looking to achieve? And what does this look like for you? And we literally make it simple by putting all of this into your pocket, into your hands, on your phone. So all you need to do is follow the plan, and then you will get the results.
Yep. And in your inquiry form, if you've come from this podcast, put in the goals. I want to get to 100, and we'll know that you came from this podcast.
Yes. Live to 100.
We will get you to 100. Even if we've passed away from then, by then, we'll still get you there.
Well, guys, that's what we have for you today. We hope that you go out there and
live the pro body lifestyle. Oh, we got it good that week.